With global attention focused on Iran, the ongoing violence against Palestinians here in the occupied West Bank risks fading from view. As during last year's Iran war, there's concern that this shift in focus will again allow Israeli settlers to escalate their attacks. Meanwhile, the Israeli army is further restricting movements by installing new iron gates in areas where none previously existed. Our report begins in Kiryat near Nablus in the occupied West Bank. A warning, some of the images in this report may be disturbing.
This grave was dug just a few days after Israel began its war against Iran. Two brothers, Mohammed and Fanny Facsar, are buried here. Their picture is all their mother has left to hold on to. Her grief says more than words ever could.
My dearest, my dearest, my dearest, may God bless you, and that my heart shall be in peace. Heaven and earth should bless you.
This footage shows the moments before a fatal attack in the Palestinian village of Kiryat on March 2nd, when several armed settlers opened fire. The Israeli rights group B'Tselem says the brothers were killed by settler gunfire. Israeli Defense Forces said the shooter was an active reservist. And they told DW the incident is currently under investigation. A neighbor, Bashar al-Karyuti, saw how the attack unfolded.
Muhammad stood here while the settlers attacked the house where the kids are. He wanted to protect the house, and they killed him right here.
Bashar says Fahim was killed while he tried to save his sibling Muhammad.
It's one of the hardest moments we've experienced, that people are being killed in their own homes while they're defending their kids, women, and their families. This is a catastrophe.
Just 28 kilometers southeast of Nablus, Kiryat is surrounded by settlements. Several outposts were established shortly after the war with Iran began. All are regarded illegal under international law.
We live in fear and worry. We're always under alert in this region. We're confronted with problems every single day.
Kiryat is only one of dozens of communities affected by an escalation of settler violence in the latest Iran war. According to the Israeli NGO Yeshdin, at least 50 incidents of settler violence were documented in 37 different Palestinian communities during the first 4 days of the war alone. We are headed to Mazra Sharkiya, a Palestinian town near Ramallah. Along the road, countless Israeli flags have been raised, symbolizing Israel's claim to a route running through occupied territory. At the beginning of this Iran war, Israel enforced a total military closure across the West Bank, in practice putting Palestinians under a blockade. Medics and rights groups say these army-imposed roadblocks also prevent ambulances from evacuating those in need of help quickly. This iron gate was installed only a few days ago at Al-Mazra Sharkiya.
Israel says these barriers are allegedly necessary for security, but Palestinians and human rights organizations see this as another way of tightening control under the shadow of the Iranian war.
Just like other villages, Al-Mazra Sharkiya faces growing settler pressure and land seizures. Palestinians who once harvested olives here can no longer access their land. New settler outposts have been built on these hilltops. We meet the deputy mayor here, who tells us that while the war in Iran continues, Israel is creating new facts here on the ground.
This is a very aggressive campaign we are witnessing now, one we have not seen before. Israel is using the current war situation to accelerate the settlement expansion, to increase the pressure on the people. They have their own plans, and they are working on speeding up the annexation.
Mohammed Shatara has lived in this village all his life. He says settler violence is just one of many ways Palestinians are being pushed out of their village. Another is economic pressure. Mohammed has been a baker for more than a decade. He tells me that with the new movement restrictions, fewer customers are coming, and those who do visit are spending less.
The thing with Iran, it affected the work in the whole West Bank, not only here in Al-Mazrah. It's connected to the whole economic cycle. They are working on 3 projects, not only the war with Iran, but hitting the economic system here, destroying the olive trees, because the roots of the trees are the roots of the people, and now they forbid the people to go to their land.
Many of his family work in the bakery. During the past 2 years alone, his business dropped by half, he says. Without it, he sees no future.
This means everything in my life. It is because of this bakery I can raise the kids, build a house, and survive economically and protect my daily bread.
We visit the nearby major city of Ramallah to see how a local hospital is preparing should any stray rockets from the war with Iran hit the West Bank. The hospital director explains that there are no proper bomb shelters. The plan is to create a makeshift triage area in this corridor.
Unfortunately, this will be the triage place where we are receiving patients. The shelter is one of our storage rooms there. The triage is this area, is the corridor for the ambulances. It will be usually filled by 3 ambulances.
When we see this garage and we see this,
We show him this video of an Israeli underground hospital in Jerusalem where DW recently filmed. An intensive care unit prepared for hundreds of patients. A striking contrast to the realities Palestinian hospitals face in the occupied West Bank.
How unfortunate we are with our situation at the moment. I can't imagine if there is a disaster happens nearby where 50 people need to come at once here, what we will do.
The 2 Palestinian brothers who were killed in Kiryat might have had a chance of survival with immediate medical attention. But locals told us the ambulances could not evacuate them for more than an hour because of roadblocks. Mohammed and Fahim left behind 12 children, the youngest only 2.
What kind of life is this? It's not safe, neither safe at home, nor safe for the kids, nor at work, nowhere.
Now, let's take a closer look at the issue. Joining us from Amman in Jordan now is Jonathan Fowler. He's the Senior Communications Manager for UNWRA, the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees. Now, what is UNWRA's current assessment of the humanitarian situation in the affected villages?
The humanitarian situation in various parts of the West Bank is incredibly troubling, and it's getting worse. I mean, let's not forget that since January 2025, when the Israeli forces launched their Operation Iron Wall in the north, there was mass displacement of thousands of people from several camps in the north. Those camps have been emptied out and gradually demolished. There are still 33,000 people displaced from their homes in the north. And then in other parts of the West Bank, of course, we're seeing rising settler violence. I mean, overall, since October 2023, more than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed in the West Bank, including numerous people in settler attacks. And of those, more than 230 have been children. So, you know, the overall assessment of the humanitarian situation is that violence, pressure, expulsions, settlement expansion, all flying in the face of international law, are causing a huge humanitarian crisis on the ground.
Now, does your organization see a shift in the scale or organization of settler attacks in recent months?
I mean, like the rest of the United Nations system, we obviously monitor what's happening on the ground. I mean, primarily our work is related to providing services for Palestine refugees. There's about 1 million registered refugees in the West Bank, so education, healthcare, sanitation, these kind of things. But we do have an eye on what is happening in terms of the attacks, because this affects registered refugees as well as non-refugees. There's about 2 million people in the occupied West Bank who are not actually registered as refugees. They're Palestinians who are living there, and the situation is that this constant sort of spike of violence that we see. So this ambient violence, the ambient fear that creates, the anxiety that this creates in communities across the West Bank, people worrying about risking their life and limb if they're going out to try and live their lives, basically, and often, families not knowing if people are going to come home at the end of the day, and that's the ambience that they're finding themselves having to live in.
So, where could protection come from?
Well, this is a very important question. I mean, under international law, the Israeli authorities, as the occupying power, are meant to secure the well-being of the population under occupation. Now, that means there is a responsibility on an occupying power to ensure that things like settler violence do not happen. I mean, that's a basic fact. And yet, over and over, we see these cases where reservists off duty, for example, have been involved in settler attacks, or there's these sort of groups that are set up with sort of semi-uniformed squads that operate out of settlements. This has to be stopped by the powers that be that have the military under their control, as it were, and have settlers under their control. But also the international community has to put much more pressure and much more focus on trying to stop this, because this is happening under the radar. I mean, already it was overshadowed by the appalling situation in Gaza, but now, of course, this is overshadowed by the situation in Lebanon and the war in Iran and the situation overall in the region. And yet this is continuing. It's not happening in plain sight necessarily, but it is plain sight for people who live in the West Bank.
As we've seen in our report there's also an economic effect of this violence affecting refugees' households already under strain. How bad is that economic effect?
I mean, this is something which has been extremely difficult for people living in the West Bank since, the economy has basically been floundering and teetering on the brink of collapse for more than 2 years now. It's never been particularly rosy there, but just because of the overall situation in the region, the decline in, say, tourism revenues, the impossibility for many people from the West Bank to go to work on Israeli territory, all of these kind of things mean that already the economy is struggling, and we've been seeing rising poverty rates. And a lot of the economic indicators, for example, on sort of schooling outcomes, health outcomes, are just getting worse and worse. So yes, and now the rising situation, the closures, the huge number of extra movement restrictions, the gating off of communities, these kind of things that have been happening, that simply makes economic life even more difficult, and that of course is having impacts on families across the West Bank, and that is incredibly troubling.
Jonathan Fowler there, Senior Communications Manager for UNWRA in Amman. Thank you very much.